Hey all, this is Mickey with Freeroaming Hiker, and I am at the Lawrence S. Rockefeller Visitor Center on the preserve, which is technically part of Grand Teton National Park. But I am starting a hike to Phelps Lake. This is probably the most common way of accessing Phelps Lake. I'm going to start on the Woodland Trail and take the Lake Creek Trail up and then come back down the Woodland Trail. And it's just an easy 3 mile loop. There's a little bit of elevation change, but nothing too strenuous, nothing too severe. So it's an easy 3 miles. It's beautiful. It goes to the shore of Phelps Lake, and it starts here at the LSR Visitor Center, which is currently closed for the season. That's just because I'm here early. The season hasn't opened yet. The Moose Wilson Road hadn't opened, so I walked in from the northern closure. But yeah, this is basically the trailhead, which you can see right back there, and that's where I'm going to head. That is the beginning of the Woodland Trail, and so we are going to start heading off to Phelps Lake. One thing to note right away is if you do come out in the fall, the trail will have a short detour, and that is because all these bushes right here, these are hawthorn berry bushes, and they will be ripe with berries, quite thick with berries, and for that reason, black bears just descend on this area in the fall. And so to keep people away from all the bears, this part of the trail is closed. And just to give you an idea about how many bears actually come through here, check out this tree. It has claw marks from bears going back decades and decades and decades as this tree grew. So definitely a lot of bear activity out here, primarily in the fall, but just in case, always have bear spray ready, and always be on the lookout. Keep your eyes peeled, be alert, look around as you're hiking, not at the trail. So yeah, we are going to keep moving. Okay, so after only about a tenth of a mile, maybe, the Lake Creek Trail forks off and crosses the Lake Creek over that large footbridge, which you saw. And you can take the Woodland Trail up, you can take the Lake Creek Trail up. It doesn't matter, it's a loop, so kind of go whichever way you feel inclined to go. I personally like starting on the Lake Creek Trail, but everybody's different. There's no right or wrong way, so kind of go at your own pace. So after about a half mile or so on either trail, you're going to wind up crossing the Moose Wilson Road. And just be careful because people should be going slow, but that's a should. And I see cars going down here way too fast, so don't expect them to be looking out for you or watch. So just use some caution crossing the road. Truthfully, that's probably more dangerous than any wildlife you're going to see on this trail. So just keep that in mind. So I just went through another junction which connects with the Aspen Ridge Trail, which is another route to take to Phelps Lake. It's a little bit longer and has a little bit more elevation gain, so be aware of that, but that can connect up with the Boulder Ridge Trail, and you can make a loop out of that as well. It's just going to be a little bit longer. So, but if the 3-mile loop is what you want, then head straight through that junction and do not go over that footbridge you saw. That footbridge will bring you over to the Woodland Trail if for some reason you want to turn back or just take a different route. As you start getting a little bit closer to the lake, you will pop out at this gorgeous meadow, which the trail goes through with the creek just right on the other side. So it's a really pretty spot to just stop if you need a break. You can take a break by the creek and enjoy the meadow. And yeah, beautiful spot, but getting closer to the lake now, so shouldn't be much longer. So right before you reach Phelps Lake, you're gonna get to these wetlands. This is right before the lake, right behind the moraine that holds the lake. It's still a little bit snowy right now. That's just because it's very early in the season, and usually May, June, you're gonna see the water here. Probably by like late July, it starts to dry out. So if you get here later in the season, that will all be dry, and it's not gonna be much of a wetlands. So just something to keep in mind, but yeah, now we are almost to the lake. So obviously I did reach Phelps Lake, and you saw there was just a couple of quick junctions right before the lake. One is restrooms at the lake. So if you need to go, you got options. There's also a trail junction with the Phelps Lake Loop, which actually circles this entire lake. If you did want to do that loop with this little loop that we're doing, that comes out to be about 7 miles total. And there's not really that much elevation gain. There's just a little bit, like right as you get back here to the junction with Open Canyon. But aside from that, it's relatively flat. And there's a lot of options for trails. The Aspen Ridge Trail comes right back here. The Boulder Ridge Trail is just past the Woodland Trail, which we're going to go connect with to get back. And then, of course, you got the Phelps Lake Loop. And then another popular hike is the Phelps Lake Overlook, which is right about there, and that is accessed from the Death Canyon trailhead, and it's only about a mile from there, but it does drop down, and you can access Death Canyon from there as well as the Phelps Lake Loop. So there's a lot going on here, and it's a beautiful spot. And the great thing about it is that the parking at the LSR never really, it gets full, but it's only going to allow a certain number of cars. It's not a big parking lot, and that is to keep this area relatively quiet and peaceful. And that was something Lawrence S. Rockefeller actually wanted when he donated back this land, was to keep this area peaceful and quiet and intimate and not let it get overcrowded. So that's a really good benefit of getting here and doing this hike. And you got this stunning lake. You're not going to have crowds of people. And yeah, it's a gorgeous lake, and you can see why it's so popular. But yeah, this is a really great little rest area. You can see there's benches, and it's a gorgeous spot, a gorgeous little overlook. Chipmunks all around, which do not feed the wildlife. Even if they're chipmunks, you will wind up killing them in the long run. So yeah, a little PSA. But yeah, we're gonna head along the Phelps Lake Loop to the Woodland Trail, which is from where I'm standing at this overlook, a left. As you come up the Lake Creek Trail and hit the Phelps Lake Loop, it is right. So basically that way. One thing to note as you're heading from the Lake Creek Trail over to the Woodland Trail is that there are a lot of little spur trails that lead to little overlooks. So you might find there's a lot of different ways to go that are unsigned, but it's not that overwhelming. Just, if you take a wrong turn, you're not going to go very far at all before you realize that you're not on the main trail. There's also the restroom trail, which I'm passing now, which is right over there. It loops back around to that. But yeah, these little spurs, they're just here and there, and you'll see kind of almost as soon as you start taking one that it's not the main trail, but it is actually just going to another just scenic little spot on the lake. So don't get freaked out if you start taking a wrong turn. You're not going to get lost. The main trail is still easy to follow. And so this little footbridge that I'm on right now is actually the start of Lake Creek. That is Lake Creek just beginning to drain out of Phelps Lake and start its journey down ultimately to the Snake River, past the Lawrence S. Rockefeller Preserve. So a really beautiful spot, nice, quiet, intimate setting, and yeah, a nice peaceful place in the woods with not some terrible views in the background. And hopefully I don't get snowed or rain on. Okay, I did stop here at this junction because I can go back that way and return to the trailhead. There's also a great little overlook if you just go out this little spur. But I am also being a little extra quiet and careful because I noticed that there's a nesting pair of sandhill cranes right back there. And thus far, I have not disturbed them. And I don't want to, so I'm trying not to make a ton of noise. I did get this shot as I was passing by, being very quiet, and luckily I have not disturbed them yet. And I don't want to, but I do want to show you this view real quick. So we're going to look at this, and then we're going to start heading back down the Woodland Trail. Yeah, no bad views of Phelps Lake, so definitely enjoy all you can if you do come out to this lake. And I am coming back to this little junction right now with the Woodland Trail, and if I were to keep going along the Phelps Lake Loop in another 1/10 of a mile or so, that's when I would hit the Boulder Ridge Trail, and that adds maybe just like half a mile, 3/4 of a mile to the return trip or the approaching trip, if you want to take that. That has some stunning glacial boulders, some glacial erratics that were deposited as this moraine was being formed right back here, which holds Phelps Lake. So yeah, I'm going to keep going up the Woodland Trail and head out from here. So I just passed through the junction with the Boulder Ridge Trail, which I could have gone left if for some reason I wanted to go back to the lake. If I had gone right, I would have gone to the Aspen Ridge Trail. But as it is, I am heading out, so I continue straight to go down the Woodland Trail. So as you saw, we just crossed the Moose Wilson Road again, and it's pretty much a straight shot back to the visitor center. It's like less than half a mile from here, and super easy, super lovely hike. There's a reason this hike is so popular, so definitely check it out if you have the means to. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. And yeah, thank you and happy trails. Till next time.